wanna do, 'cause I'm just a sinking ship, and you're just a pair of lips that I've lost in the moment. All I want is for you to come back. Now I'm caught in the middle of life, and I need
Well, do you think that there, because I talked to Larry Johnson earlier today. I had a show with him earlier today. And a lot of people are of the belief that Trump is putting America under new management and shifting everything. But I asked the question, do you believe that it's a little too late because of all the antagonizing of the world and because of the impossible debt burden that America has? Because it seems like to me they jumped off the wagon, pointing the finger at everybody. It's everybody's fault. It's Panama's fault. It's Mexico's fault. It's Canada's fault. It's Greenland's fault. It's China's fault. It's this fault. It's that fault. But it's never America's fault for the situation that she finds herself in. It reminds me of, as little kids, you know, the little kid, it's always somebody else's fault and it's never their fault. And they can't understand why people are saying, are you sure you're not to blame for it? Don't you think that regardless of administration, that they're acting like little children by blaming everybody else for the position that America now finds herself in, especially when they start talking about unfair trade practices, and nobody has had more of an unfair advantage when it comes to trade, commerce, and finance than the United States has in the last 100 years.
Absolutely. I was just listening to Vice President Vance accuse China of stealing American jobs. China stole absolutely nothing. All of those jobs were voluntarily shipped over to China to take advantage of then very cheap labor, lax regulations, zero environmental regulations, workplace safety regulations. They took advantage of that. And now that not only has China risen, they have their own companies now out competing the United States, out competing the US inside China, out competing the US all around the planet. So what America is actually upset about, and what they will never admit, is the fact that they are incapable of competing fairly with China. And when you really think about it, it doesn't even make sense. China is so much larger than the US, has such a larger industrial base, world-class infrastructure the US would take decades to catch up with. Just the high-speed rail network alone, just mind-boggling. If you haven't been to China, it's almost impossible to explain in words the scale everything is in China. And so it doesn't even make sense for the US to try to compete with China. It would be like, I'm trying to think of an example here. It would be like the UK complaining that its economy, its industry, its military isn't as large as the United States. It doesn't make any sense. It is a smaller country, smaller population, geographically smaller. Everything about it is smaller. So why do you think you would have more power and influence than the US? Doesn't make any sense. And this is something the US has to come to grips with. This is reality. You are a smaller country than China. You are going to have less power than China, and you need to accept that because that's reality. And if you are going to rail against reality, then you will have all kinds of very bad consequences down the road. I really don't think that Trump is reorganizing America and putting it under new administration. I was just listening to him talk about how there needs to be maximum pressure on Iran, that they're not allowed to have nuclear weapons. If they assassinate senior leaders in the American government, the same way the US has already assassinated senior leaders in the Iranian government, they will obliterate all of Iran. That sounds very much like the deep state that he campaigned against on the campaign trail.
Mm-hmm. Well, bro.
told you to walk away. That was my first and last mistake. I'm blue without your face. just a sinking ship, and you're just a